Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the distinguished gentleman, the top Democrat on the Rules Committee, Mr. McGovern, for his leadership and for yielding. Thank all of the distinguished members of the Rules Committee for their steadfast and courageous, insightful participation and opposition to this rule and the substantive legislation that underlies this particular rule. I also want to thank Rosa DeLauro for her principled and strong opposition to this reckless Republican rescissions package. This effort by the Trump administration to once again hurt everyday Americans. Mr. Speaker, it was just said on the House floor that the American people are fed up with out-of-control, wasteful government spending. As Democrats, we're committed to making sure that taxpayer dollars are spent in an effective, efficient, and equitable manner. This bill that's on the floor right now has nothing to do with waste, fraud, and abuse. It represents an attack on the public health of the American people, the national security of the American people, the public safety of the American people, and the ability of the American people to actually get information, particularly in rural America, that they may need through public radio or public television in the face of an emergency. Mr. Speaker, no one is buying the notion that Republicans are actually trying to improve wasteful spending. In the aftermath of this one big, ugly bill that just passed this chamber and has been signed into law that explodes the debt by more than $3 trillion, and then asks everyday Americans to pay for part of the expenses in the bill by ripping away health care for more than 17 million Americans. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, community-based health clinics will be unable to provide services to everyday Americans, and as a result of the one big ugly bill, people will die. It's an all-out assault on health care, the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. It also rips food out of the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans, all of this being done to provide massive tax breaks to billionaires. And then, Mr. Speaker, in this one big ugly bill that now has been signed into law, the debt and the deficit will explode by trillions of dollars. How dare anyone from the other side of the aisle claim to be the party of fiscal responsibility? That's fake and that's phony. So when you look at this particular piece of legislation that's in front of us right now, this reckless Republican rescissions package, it undermines American national security and American leadership in the world. This is not an America First bill, it's a China First bill, because of the void that's being created all across the world. It's in America's interests, our national security interests, our leadership interests, to make sure that we're investing in development and diplomacy and democracy all across the world. Great leaders have recognized that throughout the American journey. It was Abraham Lincoln who came to the House chamber in the middle of the Civil War. In the early 1860s, spoke to the Congress and talked about America being the last best hope on earth. President Lincoln said that in the 1860s, visionary declaration of the role that America might one day play as the leader of the free world. And this legislation, this reckless Republican rescissions package, undermines our ability to keep our people safe here and to project America's soft power all over the globe? Why would we undermine our ability to use diplomacy, democracy, and development to protect our own national security? Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, he promised that on day one he was going to end the war in Ukraine. That's now going on. And in this particular piece of legislation, we're undermining the ability of Ukraine to continue to valiantly fight against Russian aggression. Russia is not our friend. They're our enemy. Vladimir Putin is a sworn enemy of the United States of America. Why is it, Mr. Speaker, that Republicans in this bill are undermining, once again, Ukraine? Ukraine stands on the side of democracy. Ukraine stands on the side of freedom. Ukraine stands on the side of truth. Russia stands on the side of autocracy and tyranny and propaganda. Why would we stand on the side of Russia? That's inconsistent with American leadership. But this reckless Republican rescissions package, it does the exact opposite. Mr. Speaker, we just saw tragedy unfold in the Texas Hill Country. More than 24 children have died. Parents should never have to bury their children. More than 100 Texans died in the deadly floods. And there are a lot of questions that need to be asked about government failure, state government failure in Texas. The governor of Texas, he's got a lot of questions that need to be answered. Instead, he's trying to rig the Texas congressional map in the middle of a search and rescue operation. He's got to answer some questions. Trump administration needs to answer some questions about the National Weather Service and the devastating cuts that have been inflicted on them. Trump administration, Mr. Speaker, needs to answer some questions about the stated goal to defund FEMA. So in the midst of this tragedy that we all need to collectively respond to in Texas, just like we need to respond to the tragedy that unfolded in California in the wildfires earlier this year, this reckless Republican rescissions package is going to undermine the ability of people in rural America and in small-town America to receive advance warning or necessary information when disaster strikes, when extreme weather strikes, when flooding strikes, when hurricanes strike. That's what happens when you shut down public radio, when you shut down public television, which is what this reckless rescissions package will do. It's all extraordinary. Mr. Speaker, I don't understand why Republicans continue to advance legislation on the floor of the House of Representatives that hurt everyday Americans. Is it simply because the goal is always to reward billionaires, as was done with the one big ugly bill, providing them with massive and unnecessary tax breaks? Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of this Congress, we as House Democrats made clear that we will work with anyone in this town in order to make life better for the American people, to lower the high cost of living of the American people, to address the affordability crisis afflicting the American people. And we thought perhaps that we would have some partners in this necessary endeavor. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, Donald Trump and House Republicans promised that you were going to lower costs. In fact, that costs were going to go down on day one. Not my words, President Trump's words. Costs haven't gone down in the United States of America. Costs are going up. Inflation is on the way up. Life is getting more expensive for the American people. And nothing in this reckless rescissions package is going to make life more affordable for everyday Americans. It's going to complicate their life even further, just like what happened with the one big ugly bill. So, Mr. Speaker, we are strongly opposed to this legislation that apparently Republicans don't even want to actually debate on the House floor, and once again want to address an issue to be debated in this chamber under the cover of darkness. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the challenge that we have with this legislation is that the appropriations process has historically and traditionally been bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans working to try to come together to reach a spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being. And do it, House Democrats, Senate Democrats, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, a bipartisan appropriations process to try to reach an enlightened agreement. But what this rescissions package signals to us and the people that we represent, more importantly, what it signals to America, as the OMB director just said, Republicans, Mr. Speaker, aren't interested in bipartisanship, aren't interested in common sense solutions to finding common ground anchored in Democrats and Republicans coming together. We know that's the case because we've made clear our willingness to solve the challenges that the American people face and work with anyone in this town, particularly when it comes to lowering the high cost of living in the United States of America. Republicans continue to do nothing about that, not a damn thing, to make life more affordable for the American people. And that's one of many reasons why we continue to be opposed to this reckless legislation that you bring to the House floor that hurts everyday Americans, will hurt children, will hurt families, will hurt older Americans, and will hurt people that Republicans represent in rural America, all while undermining American leadership in the world. And so, Mr. Speaker, once again, this is unfortunate. Once again, we see a Congress not functioning as a separate and co-equal branch of government, a Congress, given this Republican majority, not willing to serve as a check and balance on an out-of-control executive branch, but always willing to do the bidding of the executive branch, as if we work for the Article II branch of government. We don't work for Donald Trump. We don't work for J.D. Vance. We don't work for the OMB director. We work for the American people, and that's why we are a hard no against this reckless rescissions package. I yield back.
The gentleman from New York yields back. The gentleman from Massachusetts reserves.